The chosen one. The war had paused. For the first time in 5 long years, there was silence on the battlefield. Eli Morrow stood at the edge of the crowd. He was the youngest human soldier in the entire division, just 19 with no medals, no rank and no reason to be there. But General Harlow had chosen him as one of the soldiers to attend the ceasefire ceremony on neutral moon Zyras. He didn't know why. He just followed orders. Around him stood tall human commanders and advisors, each dressed in clean black uniforms. Across the platform on the other side of a glowing blue line stood the Zayari, the alien species humans had been fighting for years. They were taller, slimmer, and more elegant than any human. Their skin shimmered faintly in the moonlight. Their eyes glowed faint red, and their presence was cold like stars that didn't give warmth. But none of them were as striking as the one walking forward now, Princess Leora. She was unlike the others, her armor decorated with gold, her steps slow and graceful. A long black cloak flowed behind her like smoke. Her silver hair was tied with sharp bands, and her face held no fear, only calm. She was the only daughter of the Zayari Emperor, and the strongest voice in favor of peace. Eli had never seen someone like her, and suddenly, she was looking right at him. Eli felt a chill. He was just a rookie. Why would a princess care about him? But she didn't look away. She kept walking, closer, past the generals, past the advisors, until she stood only 10 feet from him. Then she raised her arm and pointed. That human will be mine. Everyone froze. The human side didn't. Oh, neither did the Zayari. General Harlow stepped forward, clearly confused. Princess Leora, I don't understand. She cut him off with a wave of her hand. I am allowed to request one human under diplomatic right, that soldier. I choose him. Eli's heart pounded. Was this a joke? The youngest, the weakest, the nobody chosen. By her? General Harlow turned to him. Private Morrow, do you know her? No, sir, Eli said quickly. I've never met her. The Zayari ambassador stepped forward. The princess has spoken. The request is lawful. He must come with her. Harlow frowned. We have the right to refuse. The ambassador's eyes narrowed. Then the ceasefire ends. Everyone on both sides tensed. Weapons weren't drawn, but they were close. The general looked at Eli. This is your choice, son. We won't force you. Eli stared at Leora. She didn't blink, didn't smile, just stood, calm and certain. His whole life had been war, orders, and running behind real heroes. For once, someone had chosen him. He took a deep breath. I'll go. The Zayari ship was like nothing Eli had ever seen, tall and thin like a tower. It floated without sound. Inside it was cold and quiet. Everything glowed faintly. The walls, the chairs, even the air seemed to hum with soft energy. Eli was led to a small chamber, not a cell, but not a guest room either. A guard with pale skin locked the door behind him. Eli sat on the bed, his heart still racing. What did she mean by mine? Why him? What was this about? He didn't have to wait long. The door opened. Princess Leora stepped in alone. No guards, no weapons, just her. She looked at him. You are afraid? Eli stood slowly. I'm not sure what I should feel. She stepped closer. I saw you in a dream, she said simply. Standing beside me in fire and light, saving lives, changing fate. Eli blinked. What? I don't expect you to understand, she continued. But I don't choose by rank or power, I choose by truth, and your soul burns bright. He laughed once nervously. I'm just a soldier. You are more. She turned to leave. Before walking out, she looked over her shoulder and said, Sleep well, Eli Morrow. You begin your real story tomorrow. The door closed behind her. Eli sat down slowly. His hands were shaking. The war had stopped, but for him, everything was just beginning. Taken to the stars. The stars looked different from the Zayari ship. Eli sat near a wide glass wall, watching them pass by. They didn't twinkle like from Earth. They moved, cold and sharp, like blades in space. had been flying with the princess's ship for 2 days now, but it didn't feel like 2 days. There was no sunrise, no sunset. Just silence and glowing walls, and no one talked to him, except her. Princess Leora visited him once every few hours. She didn't ask him questions. She didn't explain where they were going. She just talked. About the stars. About her people. About dreams she had as a child. Sometimes she stared at him without saying anything. Eli never knew what to say. He felt small around her, like a stone in the presence of fire. But somehow, she made him feel seen. On the third day, she invited him to the upper deck. He walked behind her in silence past tall Zayari guards and glowing halls. They reached a wide platform with golden lights floating in the air. In the center was a raised circle with floating chairs around it. "Sit," she said. Eli sat awkwardly. "This is the bond chamber," she said. "It reads emotions, thoughts, sometimes even memories." He frowned. "Why bring me here?" She stepped into the center and looked up. "Because I want to show you something." The chamber glowed. The lights shifted. Suddenly the room was full of floating images. Eli saw a younger Leora standing in front of a fire, speaking to Zayari elders. She looked scared. He saw her training. In silence, crying in private, hiding behind royal armor. And then, he saw her dream. Him, standing beside her, in a burning city, protecting her, saving her, a warrior, a leader, a partner. The light faded. Eli sat still, speechless. "That was in my mind," she said softly. "I don't know how or why you appeared in it. But when I saw you during the ceasefire, you recognized me," Eli whispered. She nodded. "Yes." Eli leaned forward, his voice shaking slightly. "Why me? I'm not special. I've never led anyone. I've never even fired a real shot in battle." She walked toward him. "You feel small," she said, "because the world made you feel small, but your soul is large, powerful. It burns with something even my people can't name." She paused. "And I need you to help stop a war that hasn't even started yet." Eli looked up. "I thought the war already ended." She shook her head. "This war was just a beginning. The real war is inside our own people." Before he could ask more, an alarm rang out. Leora turned sharply. Her eyes changed color. Bright silver. "What's happening?" Eli asked. "Trouble," she said. "Stay here." She rushed out. Eli didn't stay. He ran after her, past confused guards, down the glowing halls. Suddenly, the ship shook. A deep, angry sound echoed through the walls. Explosions lit up the far corridor. Zayari soldiers shouted in their language. Eli turned a corner and stopped. A figure in black stood in the hallway. Taller than the others, armor red with rebel marks. The Zayari rebels. They weren't here to talk. They were here to kill. One of the rebels spotted him. "Human!" he shouted. Eli turned to run, but another blocked his way. A laser blade hummed to life. Just as the rebel raised it, Leora appeared from behind and struck with her own glowing weapon. The blade sliced through the rebel's armor. He fell instantly. She pulled Eli behind her. "We have to get to the pods." They ran through a side door, chased by rebel fighters. They reached the escape bay. Leora opened a small pod door and pushed Eli inside. He tried to argue, but she climbed. "In with him." "I'm not leaving you behind," she said. The pod launched, just as the ship exploded behind them. The pod spun through space, then hit the surface of a green planet with a hard crash. Everything went dark. Eli woke up hours later. His head hurt. Smoke filled the air. The pod was broken, but he was alive. And so was Leora. She sat outside, her cloak torn, looking at the sky. Eli crawled out and sat beside her. He asked quietly, "What now?" She looked at him, her voice calm but firm. "Now, we survive. Together. Running with royalty." The planet was hot, green, and full of unknown sounds. Tall red trees covered the sky. Strange animals with glowing eyes moved through the shadows. The air smelled sweet, but every sound felt like a warning. Eli followed Leora through the thick forest. She moved fast, even with her torn cloak and small cuts on her arms. He had no weapon, no map, no food, only her. "We should find water first," Eli said, trying to stay calm. Leora nodded. "There's a river. I can hear it. This way." He didn't ask how she knew. She was trained. She was a princess. But more than that, she was strong. They found the river before sunset. The water was clean, cold. Eli drank deeply, then filled 2 small metal bottles from the pod. Leora knelt at the edge, dipping her hands in slowly. She didn't speak. He watched her in silence. She looked tired, not weak, just human, in her own alien way. "Why did they attack us?" Eli finally asked. Leora stared at the water. "Because I brought you." "You mean the rebels?" She nodded. "They believe humans are the enemy. They hate peace, and they hate me for choosing you." Eli sat beside her. "But I didn't ask to be chosen." "I know," she said softly, "but you didn't run either." Night came fast. They built a small camp with broken pod parts and tree leaves. Leora set up a heat stone from her armor, creating a soft warmth. Eli sat across from her, chewing on a protein bar from his pocket. He handed her one. She looked at it like it was strange food, but ate it anyway. Then she asked, "What was your world like before the war?" Eli leaned back, thinking. "I lived on a farm. My mom planted fruit. My dad fixed machines. I joined the army when I was 17. To protect them." Leora watched him closely. "Did you ever kill anyone?" He looked down. "No. I trained. I marched. But I was never sent to the front lines." She leaned closer. "Then your soul is still clean." They sat in silence for a while. The stars above were bigger than the ones from Earth. Leora pointed at a bright blue one. "That's my home." "It's beautiful," Eli whispered. She looked at him, her voice low. "I wanted to hate your kind. I was raised to. But then, I saw you. And something in me said no." Eli blinked. "Just like that?" She nodded. "Just like that." Suddenly there was a sharp sound from the trees. Leora stood instantly, eyes glowing faint silver. Eli followed, heart racing. Something large moved between the trees. Fast, low to the ground. A growl echoed through the forest. "Stay." "Behind me," she said. "No," Eli said, stepping beside her. "We fight together." She looked at him, and for the first time she smiled. The creature jumped out of the bushes, long with black skin and too many legs. It rushed toward them. Eli grabbed a stick. Leora drew her blade. They moved as one, her blade slicing, his stick blocking. She attacked high, he struck low. The creature roared in pain, then turned and vanished into the trees. They stood there, breathing hard, alive, together. Leora looked at him. "You didn't run." "Neither did you," Eli said. She touched his arm. "You're not just a soldier, Eli, you're something else." He looked into her glowing eyes, and for the first time he didn't feel like a farm boy or a scared private. He felt like someone who mattered. They returned to the fire and sat close, not speaking for a while. Eli finally whispered, "Why did you really choose me?" She didn't look at him, but her voice was soft. "Because in my dream, you were the only one who didn't treat me like a weapon. You saw me." The bond grows. The days passed slowly on the strange jungle planet. Eli and Leora built shelter from stone and leaves. They collected food from glowing fruits and hunted small lizard-like animals with sticks and blades. It wasn't easy, but they were alive. And every day, they grew closer. Leora watched Eli carefully. He was learning fast. He studied the land, listened to her survival lessons, and trusted her completely. But what amazed her more was his heart. He helped without asking. He shared every bite. And each night, when the wind grew cold, he sat closer, silent, but steady. She had never met a human like him. She had never met anyone like him. One evening, a storm hit. Winds howled through the trees. Lightning cracked the sky. Their small camp shook under the pressure. Rain poured from the black clouds. They huddled together inside a cave. Eli wrapped his jacket around Leora. "You're shivering," he said. She smiled weakly. "So are you," he laughed. "Yeah, but I'm used to being cold and confused." They both laughed. It was the first time in days that things felt almost normal. Later that night, Leora fell ill. Her skin turned pale. Her breathing grew short. Eli panicked. She was strong, always calm, always in control. But now she looked weak. Too weak. He checked her temperature. Her body was burning up. "What's happening?" he asked. Her voice was faint. "It's the jungle. The planet's toxins, they don't affect humans, but they weaken Zayari blood." He searched her pack, found a small crystal vial. But it was empty. "No medicine," he whispered. She turned her head. "Leave me here. Find the extraction point. Save yourself." He grabbed her hand tightly. "No, I'm not leaving you." He ran into the storm. Rain hit his face like needles. He climbed hills, cut through thorns, searched every tree, every bush, every glowing root. He didn't know what he was looking for. He just followed his heart. Then, he saw it. A plant glowing, soft purple shaped like a spiral flame. He remembered her words from earlier. Zayari blood accepts healing only from flame vine. He dug it up, crushed it, and ran back. He gave her the juice carefully. Hours passed. The storm died. Her breathing slowed. Color returned to her face. Her eyes opened. She looked at him, surprised. "You saved me." He sat beside her, exhausted. "Yeah, well, you chose me, remember?" She smiled weakly. "Maybe I was right." In that quiet moment, something strange happened. Their hands touched. A faint glow appeared around them. A light, soft, warm, like stardust. They looked at each other. "Do you see that?" Eli whispered. She nodded slowly. "It's the bond," Leora explained softly. "When two souls connect, Zayari energy responds. But this only happens when both sides trust each other fully." Eli looked at their hands. The light was still glowing, between them. "But I'm human," he said. "Maybe not only human," she replied. The bond grew stronger that night. They could feel each other's emotions more clearly. Fear, hope, warmth, even peace. It was like an invisible thread tying them together, and in the middle of that bond, Eli felt something unlock deep inside him. A pulse, a hidden spark, as if something ancient had finally awakened. The next day they woke to a clear sky. Leora sat beside him at the river. She placed a hand on his chest. "You're changing," she said. "Your blood is speaking." "What does that mean?" he asked. She looked into his eyes. "It means you're not just part of my future. You might be part of my past." Before he could speak, a strange sound filled the air. A deep hum. Metal. Engines. A ship. Leora's face turned serious. "That's not rescue," she said. "That's a hunter ship." Eli stood up fast. "They found us?" She nodded. "Then we run." The temple's secret, the ground shook under their feet. Trees bent from the wind of the descending hunter ship. Eli and Leora ran through the jungle, leaping over roots, dodging branches, hearts pounding in rhythm. "They won't stop," Leora shouted. "They want to erase the bond. It threatens their control." Eli gripped a branch to help himself up a hill. "Then we keep going. I'm not letting them take you." She looked at him, sweat on his face, eyes fierce. This wasn't the same shy soldier she met days ago. He was changing, becoming something more. They found a narrow path between tall red stones. Leora paused, her eyes widened. This is sacred ground. The path led them to a giant stone door half-covered in vines and glowing moss. Symbols marked the surface, Zayari runes mixed with something else. Eli touched the stone. It lit up instantly. Leora gasped. It answered you. The door rumbled and slowly opened. Inside was complete darkness. Without speaking, they stepped in. The light behind them faded, but soon the walls inside began to glow with soft blue light. They stood in a wide hall filled with old statues, carvings, and crystal structures. At the center was a massive stone altar with a golden mirror behind it. Eli felt drawn to it, as if something inside was calling his name. Leora followed him closely. This is the Temple of Kairos, the first one who spoke of the bond between species. She looked around, shocked. But this place was lost centuries ago. Eli placed his hand on the altar. The mirror behind it flashed. Then, images appeared in the air. Not just light, memories. A Zayari woman was holding a baby with glowing eyes. The child didn't have Zayari skin. He was human, or half-human. Leora stepped closer. That's your mother. Eli stared at the image. How do you know? She pointed to the runes under the image. It says, the child of two worlds shall bring balance. His voice will carry the bond. The next image showed the child being taken away by soldiers, hidden, protected, from both Zayari rebels and human armies. Eli dropped to his knees. He couldn't breathe for a second. I was born for this? Leora placed her hand on his shoulder. You weren't chosen by accident. I felt it in the first moment. You are the child of the bond. He looked up at her, voice shaking. Then why don't I remember anything? They sealed your memories, to keep you safe. Suddenly the temple began to hum. The runes glowed red. Leora's face turned serious. They found us. Eli stood quickly. We fight here. She shook her head. No, we awaken it. The temple? She nodded. If you are the one from the prophecy, the temple will protect you. Eli walked to the center of the altar. The glowing mirror pulsed with light. He placed both hands on the stone. The light burst around him. Power surged through his arms. His eyes glowed, not red, not blue, but golden, the same golden light that had been in the child's eyes. Outside, the hunter ship hovered above the jungle. Zayari rebels dropped from it, rushing toward the temple with weapons. But before they could enter, a blast of light erupted from the door. The rebels were thrown back by an unseen force. The temple sealed itself again. Inside, Eli fell to his knees, gasping. Leora held him close. You did it, she whispered. You awakened it. He looked at her, glowing lines on his skin fading slowly. I don't understand everything, he said. You don't need to, she replied. Just trust the bond. He nodded. Together they stood in the center of the ancient temple. Two souls, one future, the child of prophecy, and the princess who believed in him. A princess's war. The stars shone cold and silent as the ship approached Zayara Prime. It was the heart of the Zayari Empire, silver towers rising into the clouds, surrounded by glowing rivers and floating guard stations. But the beauty could not hide the danger. Eli stood beside Princess Leora in the ship's lower deck. His hands were clenched, but his eyes were calm. He wasn't just a human soldier anymore. He was something more, and he was ready. Are you sure about this? He asked her. Leora nodded. They want to erase the bond, but I won't let them. Not again. Her voice held pain. Memories of years under royal control, a life of silence and obedience. But now, she had chosen her own path, and she had chosen him. As they landed, Zayari guards surrounded them. Red armor, cold faces. Leora walked forward proudly. I claim trial by truth, she said. Gasps filled the air. One of the royal guards stepped back. No one has done that in 100 years. Leora raised her head. Then it's time. The great chamber was vast, walls of crystal, floor of shining black stone. Zyari nobles, warriors, and elders filled the hall. At the front sat the Empress, Leora's mother, tall and still like a statue. Her voice echoed through the chamber. You return with a human. And dare to speak of bond? Leora stepped forward. He is more than human. He is the one from the prophecy. The Empress laughed coldly. A story for weak hearts. You shame your blood. Eli stood beside Leora. I don't want your throne, or your crown. I just want peace. Murmurs filled the room. The Empress stared at him. Then prove you are worthy. Face the trial of soulfire. If you survive, I will listen. Leora turned to him, eyes wide. No one has survived it. Eli took her hand. I didn't survive a crash, a jungle, and an ancient temple. To run now. That night he entered the trial hall. He wore no armor, carried no weapon, only his belief in the bond. The chamber was dark. Then fire erupted around him, shapes of creatures made of light and shadow. They spoke with voices from his past. You are nothing. You are weak. You were never chosen. Eli closed his eyes. He remembered Leora's face, her voice, her strength. You are more than what they see. The shadows attacked. Eli stood still. He didn't fight with fists. He fought with memory, with love, with truth. I'm not just a soldier, he said aloud. I'm the bond. A wave of golden light burst from him. The shadows vanished. The fire faded. And Eli stood, alone, but alive. Outside, the crowd waited in silence. Then the doors opened. Eli stepped out, glowing faintly with the same golden light. The Empress stood slowly, her voice softer now. You survived. Leora ran to him. She didn't care about rules anymore. She hugged him tightly. The Empress looked down at them both. For centuries, we feared humans, feared change. But perhaps we feared the truth, most of all. She stepped forward. I do not understand this bond, but I see it, and I cannot deny it. She turned to the elders. The bond shall be recognized, and this human shall live. Later, alone on a quiet balcony, Leora and Eli looked at the stars. You did it, she whispered. No, he said. We did. She leaned on his shoulder. We're not done yet. He smiled. Then let's finish it. The new flame piece had a strange sound. No alarms, no shouting. Just quiet voices and the soft hum of air around the royal sky garden. Eli stood beside Leora, looking down at the city of Ziara Prime. Below them, humans and Zyari were walking side by side, carefully, slowly, but without fear. 2 weeks had passed since the trial. Everything had changed, and nothing felt normal. The council had allowed Eli to stay. They even gave him a new title, Ambassador of the Bond. But titles didn't matter to him. He still felt like a boy from a farm, holding hands with a star-born princess. Yet he had something now that he never had before. Purpose. Leora joined him. Dressed in white and gold, she had let her battle armor go. Now she wore the colors of peace. I spoke with my mother, she said. She agreed. The bond ceremony will be allowed. Eli blinked. Ceremony? She smiled. A bond needs to be shared, made real, in front of both worlds. His heart skipped. Like a wedding? She nodded. Not like yours. Not like mine. Something new. For both of us. He took her hand. Then let's do it. That night, the ceremony was held in the Temple of Kairos, the one they had discovered together. It was restored, now glowing with life again. Humans and Zyari sat in a circle, watching in silence. Leora stepped forward, eyes calm. I was born to be a weapon, she said, but I choose now to be something else. She turned to Eli. He saw me when no one else did. Not as a princess, not as an alien, just as a person. Eli stepped beside her. I didn't think I mattered, he said. But she believed in me. She lit a fire I didn't know I had. They each placed a hand on the altar stone. The bond mark on their palms glowed, the room filled with golden light. Warm, soft, alive. An elder stepped forward. You are now one flame, 2 stars orbiting the same light. Everyone bowed, even the Empress. Later that evening, they stood alone on the rooftop. The city below sparkled like a sky flipped upside down. Do you think they'll keep the peace? Eli asked. Leora leaned into him. If they forget why we started it, maybe not. He held her hand tighter. Then we remind them. Every day. Suddenly a soft chime rang. Leora looked at the signal tablet on her wrist. She smiled. They want us to speak at the Unity School tomorrow. Eli raised an eyebrow. What's that? A new academy, she said, for young Zayari and human children, to learn side by side. He laughed. You're turning me into a teacher now, she grinned. You're already a guide. As the night sky deepened, a comet streaked across the stars. Eli looked up at it and whispered, I never thought I'd be part of something like this. Leora squeezed his hand. You are something like this. He turned to her. Do you think fate brought us together? She smiled. No. I think we chose this, and that's even stronger. In a galaxy divided by fear and history, one flame had lit a new path. Not a war, not a throne, just a bond. Between 2 hearts, 2 souls, and 2 worlds, a human and an alien princess, together, forever. Sometimes, the greatest power in the universe is simply the courage to love the one you were never meant to.